Hello, it's Shelley F Knight, bringing you Positive Changes, a self-kick podcast. So today on the show, we're joined by Camilla Jameson, and she's a psychic medium, angelic life coach, and an intuitive. So hello, Camilla.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here chatting to you, Shelley.
Bless you. I can't wait for this. We've had so many men on the show recently, and we're going to have not only a woman, but one that's going to talk about this most amazing positive change. So we're going to get straight on in. Please do share your positive change.
Okay, so my positive change actually started when I was just 6 years old, and it is quite frankly the most singular, most profound moment of my life, and it basically set the path for what I do now and the work that I do and the business that I have now. So when I was 6 years old, my brother was very, very unwell. He had been suffering with a lot of chest problems. He was 5 years older than myself. He'd been going back and forth to the pediatrician. He had a partial collapsed lung. So he was very poorly. My mum was having to do physiotherapy on him every morning. And we had a scheduled appointment at the pediatrician's that day. And basically the outcome had the x-rays not been sort of clear, would be the next step would be surgery. So it was a really anxious, difficult time for us as a family. And I'll talk about exactly what happened because I remember it so specifically even now. So we were getting our shoes on, we were getting our stuff together to go out the door, to go to the pediatricians to have this really important kind of results of his recent x-rays. And my mum said to me, can you go upstairs, Camilla, and can you close the windows? And we live on a split level house. So I went up the stairs and I closed the windows behind me, and I turned around, and in the window, which was open in front of me, physical form, as physical as you're there in front of me now, was the outline, the white light outline of an angel. And it didn't have any distinct features, as in hair, eyes, anything like that. There was no feminine, masculine. It was just a beautiful white light outline. And I stopped in my tracks, and I had no fear. I had no doubt. I think if I'd seen something now, maybe with sort of the beliefs that we build up as we grow, I might have had some fear. But as a child, you know, we're more receptive and open and just accepting. But I knew I knew it was an angel, and I had 3 pieces of information that this angel communicated with me in that moment. And I can only kind of describe it as almost like a telepathic knowing. It was like a telepathic conversation, you know. There was no physical sort of audible sound. It literally was like a transplant of a conversation. And it's the first thing that it said was this was an angel. And I knew 100,000,000% that this was an angel in front of me. It wasn't spirit, it wasn't anything else. It was an angel. And it was hovering. It was just hovering in the window, just this white light outline, this kind of body with the wings, just hovering in the window. And I knew that it was an angel. And I knew that the next thing that it said was that everything was going to be okay. That was the second thing, literally like someone saying it to my face, everything's going to be okay. And the third thing that it said was that the x-ray results were going to be clear. But literally almost as quick as that, all of that had kind of happened, it just went, just disappeared. And I made my way to the window, I shut the window, went back downstairs again. I didn't shout out to my mum, I didn't call out, I didn't say, come and look at this or anything like that. It was almost like it was just for me in that moment. It was just solely for me. So we went off to the pediatrician's office, and my mum later told me that in the car, I kept saying to her, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. It's all going to be fine. It's all going to be clear. And And when we got into the office, I remember sort of sitting separately, and the doctor was showing my mum and my brother the x-ray results. And I was just saying, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And the doctor couldn't believe, he said he was so shocked at this transformation in the results of the x-ray from what they had sort of expected to be happening with his health condition. And I just knew, you know. And it's funny because it wasn't actually until a few years later where I actually told my mum that I'd had this experience and shared it with her. And she said to me, why didn't you tell me? Like, why didn't you discuss it with me? And I just said, you know what? I said, it's just for me. And I just knew that that moment was just for me. And I was brought up sort of, our background was more sort of Pentecostal Christian. So the idea of, you know, sort of angel cards, mediumship and things like that was sort of frowned upon from my background. But I had that experience, and that experience, first of all, it made me realize that there is more. There is more than what we think in this physical realm. And I had, and obviously still have, 100 million% belief in the angelic realm, in the role of the angels, in their role to provide us with messages. They can come and give us messages to comfort, to protect us, a loving energy that we can connect to at any time. And as I grew older, and I struggled a lot with self-worth as I grew older. I struggled a lot with insecurity. I'd had a difficult relationship with my father. He was quite a narcissistic man. He'd been quite abusive to my mum, and I'd witnessed that as a child. And I struggled with anxiety sort of growing up, and sort of fears of abandonment, insecurity, anxiety. And I sort of dabbled into cards and mediumship when I was about sort of 20. That was really interesting. And I thought, well, you know what? If that was real, and if angels are real, what else is out there that we don't know about, you know, and that we haven't looked at? So I bought my first angel card deck when I was about 19, 20, and would just pull a card, you know, for a little bit of guidance. I got very into the idea of mediumship and connecting with the spiritual realm, because again, I was thinking, well, you know, angels are real, you know, spirits must be real as well. What else is out there? What else do we not know? And then, you know, as life kind of happened, you sort of drift in and out of the spirituality, and I never really sort of went anywhere with it until about 4 or 5 years ago, when we had, my family had a very significant life change. We had a big relocation, very sudden, moving up the country about 2.5 hours away from my family. And, you know, I'd lived in the same place for 30 years. So, and I had a 2-year-old at the time. So it was huge. It was really, really big. And I struggled with depression. I struggled with my appearance. I put on a lot of weight during that time. I struggled with sort of fitting in, feeling secure, loving myself and accepting myself massively. And I kind of had no direction. I had no job when we moved up. I didn't know what to do. I was sort of on my own with this child while my partner was going to work. My family were down there, and I really, really struggled. And I got my cards out. I remember getting my cards out again, and just literally just pulling some for myself, just for a bit of guidance, you know. And then I sort of decided I might offer it out to some friends, you know, because I enjoyed doing it. And, you know, I would receive very clear information, and the information that comes through to me comes through in the same way that it did when I was a child. So that kind of telepathic knowing, that kind of implantation of information is how I now receive information. So I would do some reading. I just sort of pulled some cards for some friends and people on the internet. And I was surprised at how accurate the information was and how much it resonated with them. So I thought, oh, okay, wow, you know, people are interested in this. And before I knew it, I almost had this like mini waiting list of people. So I basically, I kept seeing angel feathers as well outside the house. As more and more I was doing this, I kept seeing these sort of signs. Feathers would just appear outside the door. And I was given the name Angelic Connections with Camilla, which is my now business and kind of brand. And I set up a Facebook page, and the main aim of the Facebook page wasn't actually for business or financial reasons. It was just to help people. It was just to kind of spread the idea that I felt I needed to share with the world, that we do all have angels, that they do exist, that they are 1,000,000% there, and that anybody can connect with them, and that they can provide us with messages and information. So my business kind of stemmed from that process, and my spirituality has grown to the point where I now do something called Angelic Life Coaching, which really combines spirituality and connecting with the angelic realms with some key sort of principles of self-love and self-acceptance. I lost 6 stone in weight as well, so I went from a hugely overweight sort of BMI to healthy BMI weight. I didn't have antidepressants anymore. I came off my antidepressants. I found a passion and a purpose within my life, and I learned key principles that whatever is happening in my life, help me out, you know, and just really has been so life-changing and transformational, and where I am today, really.
I love that. I absolutely love how you had such clarity at the age of 6. It was just so clear. I love just the way you recall it is just so clear as well. And I absolutely love that. I also love, you said you drifted in and out of spirituality, and that's been me. You know, sometimes I cling to it. Other times I think, why me, and abandon it. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. We do zigzag through life and we sort of try different things, but you've come back to what was probably your purpose all along, which is beautiful.
So, and I think, sorry, I was just going to say, I think it's quite interesting because when I was young, I wanted to do nursing, and I wanted to be a nurse, and that was very strongly embedded in me, almost like an innate kind of need to help other people.
Yeah.
But I didn't know where to go with it, you know, whereas now I am still helping people, but in a different way that combines the spiritual side of myself as well. So yeah, like you say, a complete purpose with it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So we all hear the word angels, you know, we all hear that term, but there's so many different types. I don't know if you could clarify, because we get like, does everyone have a guardian angel? But then there's sort of like the well-known superstar angels like Michael. I don't know if superstars are, yeah, you know, he's a stud. Yeah. The ones that are in Hello magazine.
Yeah.
But you know, there's so, you know, the word angels kind of like thrown around, and call on your angels, but what are we calling on? Is it like our loved one that's gone to spirit, or is it like an angel like Michael? You know.
Okay, so this is from my understanding, and this is from the work that I've done, and this is connecting to my own angels, connecting to other people's angels, and my own understanding. So I believe that as a child, age 6, I believe that that was my guardian angel. That was an angel, and we all have a guardian angel. Everybody has a guardian angel, no matter how good or how bad people are, they all have a guardian angel. And I believe that a guardian angel is someone that stays, the angel that stays with you throughout your entire lifetime. So from birth all the way up to the time when you pass and you transition back into the spiritual world, they are with you. They're there, they're waiting, they are higher celestial beings. They vibrate on a much higher level than we do, because they're pure light. I don't believe that angels are past loved ones. I believe that spirits, past loved ones, are different to angels. The angelic realm typically are not beings that have incarnated onto the earth, so they haven't walked the earth, so they're not the same as people's past loved ones. So I believe that, you know, my grandparents, for example, are in spirit, and I believe that they are in spirit. I can connect with them, but if I'm connecting with my angel, I'm connecting on a different vibrational level. And I actually describe it to people as having to meet in the middle. When I connect with my angel, when I connect with the angelic realm, I have to raise my vibration up. And likewise, they have to almost bring their vibration down a little bit, and we have to kind of meet in the middle in order to kind of form that connection, which is why a lot of the practices that we do, you know, things, just simple things like lighting candles and creating an environment, connecting in the right sort of frame of mind is really, really important. So I believe that we all have a guardian angel, and they see you through your whole life and all the experiences that you have in them. Then we have the sort of the celebrity angels. I like that term, Shelley. I like that. the ones that we think of, you know, Archangel, the overseers, the managerial angels really that have those specific purposes, like Archangel Michael. And Archangel Michael is one that we've all heard of, typically because that he runs through a lot of different religions, that so people in, you know, Christianity and obviously Judaism and things have heard of Archangel Michael. So more well known as the big man, the big protector. You know, I call on him for spiritual protection. So the archangels have different purposes. Archangel Raphael, for example, is he who heals. That's what his name means. So he would typically be the one that we go to for healing, but also he's the patron saint of soulmates. So we can also go to him for help with soulmate relationships as well. So they have these kind of purposes, these roles that we can kind of call on them to do. But then I also know that there are just groups of angels. So they're kind of, you know, if you just said, I just need to call on the angels, you could call on different groups of angels. You know, sometimes people would just call on romance angels or angels to help with your career. So there's different groups of angels out there as well. But what is definitely definitive is that they do exist. And I think one of the reasons I wanted to come on as well is because I just want people to know that I have such faith and belief in it. And you know, and a lot of people haven't had the kind of experiences that I've had in seeing angels in a physical form. You know, and I feel very privileged to have done that. People have, you know, just have the faith and they believe in their angels, you know, and I just think that's amazing. But it's almost like every time I doubt, you mentioned earlier that we zigzag, and I think that's really accurate. You know, we go through bad points in our life. That's the time we sort of should be clinging on to our spirituality the most.
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
say to clients, I don't know any more about it. And I'm like, but this is the time when you need them the most, you know. And we kind of think because challenges are presented that, you know, that there's no angels and that there's no kind of universal force and everything. But, you know, challenges come and go. And if I think about my life journey and the challenges that I've been through, I had a lot more sort of control over them than I thought that I did, had a lot more power over the changes that I made, because ultimately they all came from myself. So yeah, so guardian angels, archangels, and lots of groups of angels as well.
I love it. I truly do. Because I say we hear the term so much, but then they got like the superstar ones and the guardian ones and things like that. And then there's other beliefs. It's just like so multifaceted, isn't it? That people say that the angels are always around us, but then they don't, because we've got free will, they won't step in unless we ask them to. Is that true?
Yeah, I think there's, I mean, if you think, for example, as a child, I didn't consciously call on an angel. You know, I didn't do that. And I distinctly remember not sort of, you know, it wasn't like I said a prayer or something like that even, you know, I don't remember doing that. I agree with that. I think there are instances and cases that we have heard of where angels will come in sort of near-death sort of experiences or accidents or kind of real crucial points, and they will step in, they will kind of intervene. But I think generally that they can sort of give little gentle nudges, I think, from the background. So they can sort of give us some signs. Whether we choose to follow those signs and listen to them and be open to them is another matter. So I do think that they're not just completely passive and going, oh, if you don't call on me, I'm not going to come and help you. I don't think that is the case. I think they are constantly trying to guide us, trying to push us. You know, it's those little thoughts that pop in your head. It is the physical signs, the synchronicities, your angel numbers, your feathers, your signs in nature. But it's also the intuitive feelings that you get, you know. Intuition is the language of the soul. It is such a powerful way that is always guiding us. But unfortunately, we live in a world where there is a lot of noise and you know, disruption, and we often look outwards for our sense of worth and our direction. We don't always call on our angelic team or even look within ourselves. We're constantly distracted by the worry, the sort of material world that we live in. And I think we lose track of the fact that we are always gently, there's a natural flow, I believe, to people's lives. And there's a reason that you're doing what you're doing right now. I genuinely believe that. And if you think of the things that have taken you up to this moment in your life, you'll probably go, well, if that hadn't have happened, would I be doing this? And if this hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't be here now. And I know that when I look back, that relocation was, looking back, it was, at the time, it was the worst thing in the world. But now it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
You know, and hindsight's a wonderful thing. And I think that our angels are constantly trying to reassure us and guide us, and we need to kind of recognize that there is natural flow to our lives, and we tend to push against the flow. We tend to kind of go, no, I don't want to go that way because I don't know what's behind, you know, what's up there, or it seems a bit painful, or I have to release something that's unfamiliar, or I have to kind of go in new territory. We push against it, and it's like trying to swim upstream, you know. You don't. And when we actually surrender and trust, and we look at the signs that we're being given, we find that things will eventually slot into place. And I know it's hard in the moment when you're going through challenges to believe it, but as I say, we can look back in hindsight, and I think all of us can probably relate to the fact that, wow, you know, that springboarded me to here, or that was a stepping stone to this, or that even that experience that may have been painful helped me to grow and evolve and to learn about myself. So I think the angels are constantly trying to help us to find our flow, and to gently nudge us towards our flow when we kind of go off path.
That's brilliant. So would we know, I know you said there's a difference between the angelic and the loved one, would we know in a sort of vibrational way, in a feeling, whether an angel's helping us or a loved one?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I do think that the two vibrate on different levels, you know. When I do mediumship, for example, it is a very different energy. It does feel very different. And I think when we're wanting or setting out that intention to connect to a past loved one, we're kind of looking for that sense of, sometimes we might get a certain smell, or we might get a memory, or we might get this sort of different feeling. The angelic realm vibrates a lot higher. When I connect with the angels, I actually get a little bit tearful. And I know I've connected when I have a tear, because it's such a pure love, you know, vibration. Whereas as humans, even, you know, our lovely grandmother in spirit would have had an ego and would have been fallible, you know, in that sense. So I think when we connect with them, it is a different energy than that real high vibrational energy of the angelic realm. But you can connect with both. I think the angelic realm, you do have to build up your vibration in that little bit higher. There's meditations and things that people can do to help that. But it is a lot simpler than people think, because they are waiting there and they are sort of receptive and ready. But we do have to be in that space and be open to it. But yeah, I think that it's a different energy. They are separate. They are different. They're not the same. And I know that from the work that I do and the readings that I do, you know, when a loved one comes in, it feels very different to me than, it's almost like I'm going, you can't see, but I'm directing my sort of energy here and then up here. And it is very different. It feels different. You will almost, if you practice this, you will notice the subtle differences. Because remember, this is energy work.
Yeah.
Almost like when you go into a room that you've not been in before, you notice the energy, you know. So connecting with spirit, connecting with the angelic realms is connecting with energy, and the energy does feel slightly different, or it feels slightly denser, or it feels slightly sort of more higher vibrational. So it's about practicing and becoming familiar with what different energies feel like. And as I say, we do that on a sort of basic level. When we meet new people, we get a sense of people. We go into a room and we feel, oh gosh, I don't like this energy. Or we kind of meet someone for the first time and we're not sure. So we are doing that already. It's just about kind of honing that and practicing that on a different level. But yeah, the angels are sort of I would say on a sort of higher vibrational realm than past loved ones, but we can connect to both.
Yeah, I think it's really valid what you're saying, because I know we've all sort of gone around our friends' houses and they've just had a round. They think you don't know, but you walk in and it's like a wall, isn't it? They go, oh no, mwah, mwah, kiss on the cheek. You think you've so just rowed in this house. You know what I mean? But maybe we don't always know. So we're always so busy and pushing things away. Maybe we're not grateful of how intuitive we are. Like when we meet
Yeah.
someone, I mean, I used to work with someone and she smiled the first time she met me, but I just didn't like her, and I wasn't spiritual then. I wasn't aware of my spirituality then, but I just didn't like her. And I don't know, maybe it was a past life, who knows, but I don't think we always take the ownership of how we're feeling, that energy we're getting.
Well, we don't trust it. And this is the problem. We don't trust our intuition because it's not something that we can see with our five senses. It's not sort of science. I mean, obviously we know that the energy exists and we kind of, scientifically we know that. But typically we live in a world where we need to have proof and, having a feeling about something. People don't, what you're going to change your mind about that job opportunity based on your feeling. Well, that doesn't seem sensible, Camilla. Why would you be doing that? Oh yeah, but I got a hunch or I got a sense. Well, yeah, but if you look at the practical things, if you look at this, and we're always kind of, our brain, our mind is in our logical space, our ego space, if you will, is trying to almost convince us otherwise. It's almost arguing with our intuition, which is why we need to almost get more down into our heart space. I say to people, you've got a decision to make. If you're not sure what direction to take, your mind is the one that's going to be going, no, you can't do it. You can't do it because of this, this, and this. It's the one that's connected to your self-limiting beliefs about yourself and the restrictions that have been imposed upon you from society, from maybe your childhood, from your experiences, or your insecurities. All is up in your head. And your heart space is connecting more on that sort of soul level. That's the space we need to get in, because I think that we do dismiss our feelings, we do dismiss those subtle signs, and then we look back and we go, oh, but I knew that wasn't right. Oh, I can't believe I didn't trust myself. And it's only when we kind of make those sort of mistakes, inverted commas, if you will, that we can then almost begin to trust ourselves. And I do say to people, don't see these sort of misdirections as failures. See them as them helping to sort of show you, where your intuition is. It's like when you learn to do a connection with a past loved one or spirit, or when I'm teaching people how to make those connections, and they say, oh yeah, but I think I'm just making it up. And I say, okay, that's fine. If you think that, say what you think you're making up, and then say what you think is coming from an intuitive place, and if you're wrong, we'll realize that some of that's come from your head, and that's fine. You now understand that, so that when you connect again, you will be able to decipher that information. So yeah, I definitely think that we live in a world where it's just not strong enough to go on a feeling, and so because of that we push it away, and also because we are so up in our heads, and our headspace is the place where you have that sort of ego-based fear and those self-imposed restrictions that's always trying to hold you back. When we've gone through the COVID situation, and that is a huge time of uncertainty. If anything, it's taught us how to be in uncertainty, because I have a lot of clients, and they don't make decisions because they can't see what's around the corner. So they just don't go there, because actually the thought of being in a place that I know, even if it's uncomfortable and not nice, is sometimes actually better for that person, or feels better than stepping out into the unknown, into somewhere else. So we hold ourselves back into this place where it's familiar, but we know the relationship's not right, or we know the job's not right, but we hold ourselves here because it's familiar, we're comfortable with it. And actually the thought of doing something new or pushing ourselves is scarier for some people. And that's how people become stuck, and they can't invite that change. And we kind of have to really push ourselves past our blocks and understand what they are and why they're there, push ourselves past our head, connecting into our heart space more, and connecting with, the angelic realms, which is on a much higher vibration, to have that clarity about how to move forward and what direction to take in our lives.
That's brilliant. So you said that the angelic energy is very different, like a higher vibration. So would that translate that if we're feeling depressed and struggling emotionally, that it's easy to connect to our loved ones because it's more of an earthly energy?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I don't think it's necessarily easier, but I think it's very different. And I think if we think about energy, we are constantly connecting with energy all the time. When we go into a room with somebody, we're becoming aware of the energy. When we meet somebody, we're becoming aware of their energy. And if someone is depressed and in that kind of lower vibrational energy, we can pick up on that. So I think when we connect with the angels, it is that higher vibrational space, and it is about creating an environment in order to be able to do that. So for example, I have all my card decks here, my crystals, my incense, my candles, everything to kind of create that atmosphere. I put on some angelic Reiki music as well and make that connection. But I do feel that it is actually easier than people make out. There's not a science to it. It is really as simple as asking the question. You know, angels, will you please connect with me? Angels, I've got this question, asking them for help and asking them for direction. The problem is that people often want to control the outcome of that request. So for example, we say to the angels, oh, I want help with my relationship, but I want this, this, and this to happen. Or I want help with my job, but only if that's the solution. You know, we don't just trust and surrender and allow the natural flow of things to happen. So what I recommend people to do is to almost create an angel postbox. And I'll explain what I mean by this. And so if you've got a question, if you're looking for direction, you want help in an area of your life, you can physically write it down onto a piece of paper. That's a really, really useful tool. It really gets the energy out there, or even in your head. And then what you need to do is either visualize or literally fold it up. I've had people fold them up literally. And then imagine, visualize this post box in front of you. And it's basically your little portal to the angelic realm. And you're going to basically push your request through that post box, and then you're going to let it go. Then you're going to step back. Because often what we do is we don't trust and we want to control the outcome so much, and we're really, really prescriptive with it. We're like, oh, you know, I want to have 3 angel feathers and 5 coins, and you know, and then I'll kind of get the message, and it's like, oh, well, that's not really fair, is it? You know, that's not that's not really reasonable. You know, the angelic realm, that is a different realm. It's a different energy. They're not here on earth in this earthly form, in a physical body. They don't have physical bodies. They don't identify masculine and feminine. I know we do put that onto angels, but they don't actually have that because they don't have a body. So it's not really sort of fair to put those restrictions on it. So it is about trusting that the angelic realm has miraculous solutions that are beyond the scope of our human imagination. They really, truly are. They know what's in our best interest for our greatest and highest good. You know, sometimes we cling on to toxic relationships. Sometimes we cling on to things that are familiar. We cling on to jobs that are no good for us because we're scared of pushing ourselves forward. We're scared of kind of propelling ourselves into new territory. So sometimes if we just literally put that request in and then let it go and just trust and see what happens, you know, see what signs come in, see what bits of information and intuitive messages come in, see those sort of symbols around us in nature and everything, and allow that to be our guide. I think our past loved ones also want to help us. They also want to connect with us, let us know that they are around. I think that's probably the thing that we need the most actually from our past loved ones, is to know that they're okay. That is generally, you know, when people come for a mediumship reading, what they want to know is, are they okay? Is it them? One, is it them? You know, the evidence. And then 2, are they okay? You know, and do they have any messages? And I think it's a different kind of connection, you know, and the more that you work with the angels, the more that you connect in with your loved ones, the more that you do these exercises and call on them, you'll become aware. Some people, when they are talking to past loved ones, we'll see sort of more, I would say, more material signs, in the sense of maybe light bulbs flashing, maybe smelling things, just sensing the energy, maybe getting a memory in there. Obviously, you can start to receive specific information, but sometimes when we're very connected to that person, we don't see it as that. So for example, if I was connecting to your past loved one, I would be able to bring in information that only you would know, whereas if you were connecting with them, you'd know it all already. Do you know what I mean? So you sort of doubt it and go, well, that's not a message because, you know, I kind of thought that's what they would say. So that's why people go for readings. You know, they want someone else to kind of validate that. So I think they are 2 aspects of spirituality that we can connect to, that want to help us, that want to support us, that want to guide us. Our loved ones, just like when they were in the physical realm, you know, they want to help and guide us in the same way. But as I say, they did live on the earthly realm. They did have an ego. They were fallible, whereas the angelic realm is very, very high vibration. As I say, I get quite emotional when I connect with it. It's so pure. it's such a pure love energy, you know, and it's different. It feels very different to connecting to, you know, Grandma Joe or someone,
Yeah.
you know, when you're connecting with them who's bringing in other messages. So it is about sensing the energy. And I think the more people practice that, even, you know, going into rooms, connecting to different people and kind of going, oh, well, you know, I get a sense of that. I'm feeling an energy. Energy is all around us. We know that. We know that that's scientifically proven. It's just about connecting into these different energies, and it's about pushing away these beliefs that because we can't see them in physical form, that they don't exist, you know, because they do.
Yeah, I love that. And I was guilty of some of that, like when you set out an intention or a manifestation, you're like, this is what I want, but like this and that. And I did get the giggles inside because you were saying sort of somebody wanted like 3 feathers, 5 coins. I could just imagine like Miss Celebrity Archangel Michael with a little man bag with coins and feathers inside, you know, throwing them around like confetti.
There's the 2 that Shelley requested.
Well, they're up, you know, up there in the angelic realms going, you've got any spare change? You've got some really awkward customers down there in Earth. But yeah, it's like, you know, we control everything and we try and control it. And if we ask for a sign, but it's not what we want, then we don't trust it. And, you know, they must be up there like, you know, plucking their feathers out, because you don't rip your hair out, but plucking their feathers out. Just going sort of like, seriously, how clear can I tell you?
Yeah, and you know, and again, when we look back in hindsight is a wonderful thing, but it's actually really useful in spirituality, because we look back and we go, I knew that, I had that sign, you know, and they might take you out of a really unhealthy environment. Maybe you want that environment because you want that relationship, or you think that you know, situation is right for you, and they can take us out of these really unhealthy relationships. They can align us, but at the time it can feel like we're going backwards. It can feel like we are going away. It can feel like we're never going to be happy. When we're in the eye of the storm, when we're embroiled in the emotions of the situations of life, the challenges of life, say for example, you have a redundancy. For most people at the time, that would be the worst thing in the world, you know, people worrying about money, how they're going to live. And then I have clients, you know, and stories of people who are like, oh my God, I set up my own business. I now have a better work-home balance. I'm able to pick my kids up from school. But, you know, if they would never have requested that, oh yeah, by the way, can you make me redundant? You know?
So true, yeah.
But they might have requested some help with their job. You know, and this is not to say that the angels are up there trying to sort of trip us up. It's just to say that there is a flow. I really believe there is a natural flow. And when we look at our lives, when we look at where we are, and when we look at what's happened and what's come before us, there is a direction and an alignment, and certain things sort of have to happen in order for us to grow or to learn or to be where we are. And sometimes you're at a stepping stone point, you know, you're not there yet. You're not going to get there. You know, it just means that you're being sort of pushed forward, and sometimes we lose patience. You know, we're not patient typically. We don't like uncertainty, and we don't like impatience. You know, we want things to happen right now. I want to manifest it, and it's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen in the next 5 days, because that's what I've requested to the universe, and I don't believe in spirituality, you know.
I've been there.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
You've got 11 days, because that's angelic. You can have 11 days and that's your lot.
Yeah, 111. Yeah, exactly. You know, I think we need to relax a little bit and trust, and have faith. And when we do step back, we're stepping back. Don't forget, when you step back from that post box, when you step back, you are stepping back from your ego, from your self-limiting beliefs, from your blocks, from all those parts of yourself that think that you can't do it, that it won't happen in that way. You know, you're stepping back from all those preconceived notions. You're kind of moving yourself away, and the angelic realm is really connecting you with your higher self, your heart space, the part of yourself inside that knows what is best for you. And sadly, you know, if people have been through past traumas, or you know, have been sort of self-limiting beliefs in their life, or have other sort of issues to do with their worth and their insecurity, we don't trust ourselves, and we block ourselves all the time. And generally, you know, the clients that I see, the ones that I would describe as spiraling round and round and not really moving forward, are the ones that are pushing against the flow. They're trying to control. They're not allowing things to just happen, and trusting that process. So I think trust and surrender are really important words with this.
Yeah, and I think surrender is a brilliant word. I used to use the word acceptance, but I think surrender is even more open to it. Like you know, if you accept, you kind of think, okay, this is what it is. But I think when you
Yeah.
surrender, you're open to whatever is, and it's quite different, isn't it, between acceptance
It's
and
quite
surrender?
scary. Yeah, it's quite scary when you think of, because surrender is kind of saying, oh, I want help with this, but I'm kind of saying to you, just do whatever is needed for my
Yeah.
best and highest good. That's actually quite hard to do. People do struggle with that, because it is, and you know, and I'm someone who myself, I've struggled massively with having to control situations, and if I don't know what's going to happen, you know, it creates anxiety. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that, you know. If we don't know what's going to happen or how, it creates that anxiety. And as I say, that's why people become stuck, because they stay in the familiar, you know, they stay in what is comfortable to them. And surrender, I think, is a difficult thing, because it's saying, what, you know what, no matter what, as long as this is for my greatest and highest good and will lead me to happiness, I'm okay with that. And we have to get to a space where we want to allow the angels, we want to allow them to create that for us, and that does involve a very conscious stepping back. And that's why I actually tell people to do this visualization, because it's almost like it's a conscious stepping back, you know, physically stepping back, and saying, okay, here you go, this is what I'm struggling with, this is what I need direction with, just please help, you know, in the best way that you can. And that's when the greatest outcomes happen, and the most transformational sort of changes is when we just allow ourselves to trust that flow, rather than thinking that, you know, we can control every single thing that's happening. You know, we need to just trust, I think, more.
Yeah. I am guilty of trying to control everything, and you know, my time frame, I need to tick this box, I've got a checklist in life, you know. But then sometimes when you do give into it, or maybe chase after something else, so your mind's not on that, the most beautiful things happen with the most divine timing, and the synchronicities, they do come, don't they?
They do come, and they come in a multitude of different ways. And that's why, you know, we sort of laughed about the Archangel Michael with the coins, but you know, it is important to really notice the synchronicities, because your synchronicities will be different to mine, you know. It's something that I always say to people, it's something that will catch your attention. You'll know. It might not be those three feathers in a line, it might be something else, but you'll know, you know.
Yeah.
Or an opportunity. But I also do think we have to meet the angels in the middle, not just vibrationally, but also in the sense of, well, you know what, if I do want to, say, for example, have a new job, what am I actually going to do? What steps am I going to take to create that energy? You know, am I just going to sit here passively and go, oh, my soulmate's going to knock on the door and my job's just going to land on my feet? And, you know, I think we need to be meeting them in the middle. We need to be surrendering, but also then what energy am I putting into that as well? You know, what are my thoughts about that? And being aware of that we have to kind of meet them in the middle. It's almost like if there's a ship out to sea, you know, you can see it from the shore. Are you going to swim out a little bit to meet it, or are you just going to wait and wait and wait? You know, you need to swim out a little bit and meet that ship, and then the two together it'll be so beautiful, so synchronistic, and you know, it really helps with aligning people.
Yeah, that's a great analogy, because I was thinking, like, well, either would work, but actually if you're sitting there waiting, you're going to be waiting a very long time, and it could even change course while it's waiting for you, then, couldn't it?
Might have a bit of wind and
yeah, might sink.
Or it might sink.
Then you really need to call your angels.
Well, you know, divine timing, and maybe in relationships and things like that, when we talk about connecting with soulmates, you know, timing is really important, divine timing. So yeah, that's kind of true to an extent. You know, you're going to let opportunities pass you by because you're so passively waiting. So whilst we do need to trust and surrender, we also need to think about, what energy am I putting into this? You know, do I really want this, or am I just sitting here going, okay, deliver, you know? Let's sort of meet in the middle a little bit and help them out a little bit there.
I absolutely loved the Angelic post box. Whether you do that in your mind, if you actually write in the letter, I absolutely love that tool. What other tools can people use from today to help them connect to the angels?
Well, one of the things that I would say is really, really important, and it's a really simple exercise. Literally just want people to go into a quiet space. You know, if you have got a space set up, I really recommend that actually for people. I've got clients who have just literally got a little bit of a table, a little bit of a windowsill. Some have got amazing, you know, I've got an angel room. Sorry, behind me here, so I'm really lucky. But, you know, it starts with just like a little desk or a little space. Creating that space to connect is really important. You're setting a very powerful intention. When I come near that, when I go into that room, when I go into that space, I'm getting ready to connect. So you're setting that that energy, you're setting that intention. And then what people need to do is, you can play some music, you can light a candle. I use some incense sprays usually as well. And then really what people can do is they can just sit within the quiet and they can just say a very simple, I ask my guardian angel to come forward and to let me know your presence. And then you need to be open to, some people feel hot, some people feel tingly, some people feel cobweb sensation, some people get sort of images that come in. For me, when I do this exercise, I feel quite emotional because it's such a beautiful love energy. But it's really quite simple. It's just allowing yourself that space and, removing the mental chatter, getting into almost that meditative state and allowing them to connect with you, to kind of, it's almost like saying, right, I want to be friends. I want to make this connection. It's really, really simple. It's not hard. It's not, you don't have to go on lots of courses, and you can, but you don't have to. They're there to connect with you. As a child at age 6, I didn't have any candles and music and everything. They just appeared. They are there. They are around you. But this can really help us to get to know their energy and what that feels like. So literally sitting there, you can ground your feet, you can visualize some roots from the soles of your feet to ground you. And then you can call upon your guardian angels for your greatest and highest good to come close, to connect with you in sight, in sound, in touch, and then really be open to that information. And some people find that they actually get loads of great information. The other thing that you can do with this exercise as a kind of an extension when you feel comfortable is you can add in automatic writing. And automatic writing is just a way of almost allowing your pen to be very loose on the page. And when you're connecting with your angel, when you're calling them into you, you're asking for Archangel's protection as well during these sessions, so you can make sure that you're very protected. And then you can really just ask them, what is it I need to know? What is it I need to know? Or you can ask them a specific question. And then with a piece of paper and a pen, you can just hold that lightly and just allow it to make movements. Sometimes at the start, it just looks like complete scribble. Sometimes people get numbers. So we did this exercise actually recently with a group of people on my membership group. And, people had numbers, some people had little symbols and signs, some people just had keywords, So that's another tool of a more kind of practical visual way of connecting. But these two exercises are very basic. They're very easy to do. Everyone's got the tools at home to be able to do them. And it really is just about setting up that connection with them, allowing them to draw close to you. There's some great guardian angel meditations, archangel meditations on YouTube that are completely free as well. So people really can connect in a variety of very, very simple, easy ways. But those two tools, as well as the post box, I would highly recommend.
I love that. I'm quite blessed like you. I've got my own room, and my office is like half practical. Shelley's here to work, and then the other half is just like crystals, angels, Kuan Yin, Buddha, beads, books in color coordination. There's probably some real psychology behind how it's laid out. But I started off, like when we had smaller homes, I started off with just a wooden tray, and then I'd get a card for the week ahead, put crystals and feathers around it, and I just worked around a tray, and obviously manifested a house now. But you say about being open, and I hope this is all right to share because it's actually from my second book. So I was trying to do an angelic connection one day, and I do believe in angels. I know it's would be quite humorous, but I do believe that we're never alone, and there's this like protection around us. But I did kind of want a celebrity angel to come through on this particular occasion. So I just sat there, and I had like these cards out, and I had the crystals out. I was on my own, namaste, all that beautiful stuff was happening.
Yes.
And I connected, and it was a really clear connection. And then I asked the name, and I was thinking, she must be saying Michael or Michelle. She must be. But her name was Muriel, and she was purple.
Oh, I love
and so I was there going, I think you're pronouncing it wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like, excuse me, sweetie. Don't think you're saying your name right. Don't think you're the right colour. And she was very clear, very lovely energy actually, but her name is Muriel, and she worked with like a sort of like mauve colour. And so that is in my second book, like be open. Like sometimes we don't get the celebrity ones, we just get what we need. And I got Muriel.
Yeah, what we most need at that present time. And that's amazing you said that, actually, because I say that all the time. I say the information that will come forward is what you most need to hear at this present time. Now that, again, it's not always what we think we need to hear in order to move ourselves forward. It's not. And that's why you need to be very open when you make these connections. Exactly. You know, it's interesting you said about the name, because you can easily incorporate that into the exercises that I've said. You know, you can just literally, when you're sitting there in that energy, you've got the music and you're connecting, you can sort of visualize this upwardness as well. That helps. And you can just ask for a name. And I'll tell you a very interesting story. It's quite funny as well, actually. When one of the earlier times when I first did this exercise, I got given the name Sarah. And I was like, right, okay, Sarah, that's great. I was like, oh, I'd love some validation about that. You know, could you just give me some validation that your name actually is Sarah and that I'm not making this up, which is what we all want. We want that validation. And it was a couple of days later. I think I was in the bathroom. I think I was in the bath, actually. And I got into the bath and I looked down, and the clothes that I'd just taken off to get into the bath, and on the label of one of the tops, it was obviously the brand, or it was something to do with where I got it from, and it just said Sarah. It was like S-A-R-A, Sarah. And I was like, I just said thank you. I was like, and it made me laugh so much because it was so ridiculous, but it was so validating, you know, like what, and this is what I mean, you know, like it's something just for you. Like I knew in that instant, like, that's my sign. It wasn't my feather, it wasn't my numbers, it wasn't big lights, you know, it was something really funny and silly that happened a couple of days later. It was like, wow, that's my validation. So yeah, being open to it is really, really important, I think. And just, you know, they are funny, and they do connect, and that, you know, it's like having best friends around. It's amazing. And if you're open to it, it's like, wow, oh my God, you know, that's crazy that came through in that way. So yeah.
But I love things like that. I mean, I honestly believe in like past life, future lives, everything like that, and angels. So I don't know, there's been a lot of humor, but I do believe it. But there is another funny story that I do an evening dog walk with my son, and he's 14, and I walk along, and if I see a feather or if one floats down, even better. So we're walking along last week, and I went, oh, there's a feather, oh, there's another one, oh wow, this is a beautiful evening, it's going to be a really positive business week ahead, look, there's another one. And we kept walking, there's more feathers, and there was a dead pigeon, and he went and he just went, wow, that's a mighty spiritual sign right there, Mum. And sometimes, you know what I mean? That's going like, you know, because I've asked a question like, show me, you know, the week ahead. And it was like, feather, 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 dead pigeon. And my son was just like, that's a very spiritual sign, Mum. So,
I think, do you know what, that is interesting though, because someone sort of said to me once, you know, well, what are these sort of angel feathers from heaven? And I said, look, when you see a butterfly, when you see a feather, you know that feather's come from a bird, okay? Like, you know, it's come from something, or a cushion, you know, you know that it's come from something. But it's still a sign, you know, it's still a sign. It is something that we can look for. And, you know, yes, necessarily, I don't know if I do think that they're up there sprinkling feathers onto me, but I know that they're being placed, or I'm being positioned in places where I can view that as a sign for what I need to know. And that's the point. That's when you know you're in alignment. And I would say, if you are seeing a lot of synchronicities in terms of repetitive numbers, which I get asked about a lot, if you're seeing a lot of, you know, your 111s, your triple numbers, your repeated numbers, if you are seeing a lot of feathers, or, you know, feathers in unusual places. I had one that came out of the fridge once. And I don't put my eggs in. I don't put them in there. That's controversial, but I don't. And it came out, and I was like, oh, and I think I put it on my Instagram story. I was like, look what's come out of my fridge, this feather. You know what I mean? Like, that to me is a sign. It's about being open to that. You know, yes, we know that feathers come from things that are physical, but you're being positioned, and it's very validating for me that you're on the right path. You know, I typically see them if to me, it's like, you're okay, Camilla, you're in where you need to be, you're where you need to be right now. And even if that is not where you want to end up, or you see yourself being, know that it is where you need to be at this present time. There's lessons there, there's growth lessons. You might be being, as I said earlier, on a kind of springboard, on a stepping stone. You know, whatever is happening, you're going to be okay, you're going to get through it, or knowing that you are going in the right direction. And that's what they mean to me, and that's how I see them.
I love that message. Like, you're in the right place, even if it's not where you want to be or where you saw yourself, you're on the right path. I love that. I've never seen it from that perspective, so thank you. I love it. So you're so blooming beautiful, and you're so wise, but is there a particular saying that you use or positive affirmation that you use with all your angelic work?
Yes, there is. Now, it's very basic, but there's two versions of it. One of them is basically everything lies within. And I'll talk about that in a minute. And then the longer one is Ralph Emerson, and it says, what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And the sort of saying everything lies within has helped me so much on my spiritual path and my journey. And it is one key thing that I would say just sums up what spirituality means to me. And that is that we have everything inside us that we need to navigate this earth, our life path and our life purpose. I think as humans, we live in a comparison type living world. We are constantly comparing ourselves on social media. We are constantly looking at what our neighbors doing on Facebook, what holidays they're going on. Our life isn't maybe following their direction. We feel we have to speed up. We feel we have to slow down. We feel we have to meet the needs of other people. We look to other people for validation. We look to our friends. Well, can you tell me what to do, please? Because I'm struggling here. We're always looking outside of ourselves. Please help me. Please, someone else, something else, help me with this. And you know, it can get to a toxic point if we're thinking about things like drugs, alcohol, eating. You know, even for me, you know, you're doing that to fill a void within. Essentially, you're looking for something to fill something up within yourself that you don't have. So it can be as basic as us feeling bad on social media that someone else has got a new job and we're sitting here struggling, or on Valentine's Day, if you're single, going on Facebook and going, oh my God, you know, or it can be on that sort of more toxic level. But I think the essence is that we don't need all of that, you know, that all that noise, everything external to us is not going to provide us with answers. It's not going to give us security. It's not going to give us self-worth and self-love and self-acceptance. A relationship is not going to give us that. You know, relationship should be sort of adding, you know, it shouldn't be about filling us up. We need to learn to fill our own well up. We need to learn to accept ourselves, to do the inner work, the shadow work. You know, why do I have these triggers? Why do I react in this way? Why do I have these self-limiting beliefs? You know, self-awareness is key. Self-awareness is everything. You understand yourself and how you act in a certain way, then you can do something about it, you know. And I think being very honest with ourselves, having that dialogue, well, you know, I do need to change that. I don't want to be that reactive. I don't want to be that jealous or that insecure. I do want to work on that, you know. Where does it come from? Right, okay, I'm not going to dwell on that forever, but I'm going to understand why, and then I'm going to be able to move myself forward. But all of that comes from within myself. That's not that anything else that anyone can provide. And yes, you know, I love the self-help books. I love following people on Instagram that are spiritual. I love my cards. You know, I love all of that, but I also know that they are tools. You know, they can inspire you. People can inspire you. They can trigger things and thoughts and ideas, but ultimately and essentially, all you have is yourself. And, you know, on this journey of life, you're with yourself the whole time. You know, people will come in and out at different points. All you have is yourself. So everything lies within is my mantra to everything, and what I have to remind myself on, you know, at different points. Because don't forget, though we've had lots of positive change, you know, and there's a story about positive change, things will crop up, challenges will happen, you know, we'll be triggered again. That's normal. And I say to people, you know, just because healing is not linear, you know, it's a sort of lifelong process. It is linear, rather. It's a lifelong process. It's not an end destination. It is committing to constantly having to work on the challenges that present, and really ultimately knowing that you have everything within yourself to do that. And I know that the angelic realm as well has kind of helped meet that together and really helped me to heal and to go on and help other people. So everything lies within.
Yeah, and it's so important. It is. I think we give so much of our power away, like you're saying, like you're always saying, what do you think? What would you do? And it's just like, but it's not their story, it's yours. And we should always bring it back to self, isn't it? And like you said,
exactly.
Yeah, I love it. Because you said earlier, like if you find yourself somewhere and there's a feather, whilst you might not like where you are, like with it's your job, your relationship, your opinion of yourself, you're on the right path. And I love that. Absolutely love it.
You're guided, you are guided, you are protected. It's about being open to seeing that, realizing that, understanding that, being receptive to that, relinquishing control over everything, opening ourselves up, getting into our heart space more. And we do, we put out our power all the time. We completely disempower ourselves, and like I said, sometimes, yes, of course it's helpful to sort of say to somebody else, but no one's had my experiences, no one's had your experiences, no one's had your upbringing, your child. Everything that you have is you. So if you need to make changes in your life, you need to be sort of inciting them yourself. And like I say, you can be inspired and helped by people along the way, but you ultimately have to do it yourself. And it is your journey, and it is your signs from the spiritual world, and I sort of say to people, look, yes, you haven't seen an angel in physical form, but my goodness, you've had this, and this. And I said, it's very, and you have so much to offer and so many things that are working for you. And there's lots of people that may have seen spirit in physical form, and you sort of think, oh, why haven't I? Where's my son? But it's not for the few. And I say this to everyone, it's not for the few. Angels are not for the few. I don't actually like the word gifted. I really don't like it. People say to me, oh, you've got a gift. And I say, no. I said, because a gift, that sort of lends to the idea that it's something that is limited to few people, that not everyone can have it. And I actually liken it to learning the piano. It's an analogy I use a lot. And I say, right, so if you learn the piano, so everyone can learn the piano, okay? Beethoven can learn the piano. We can all learn the piano. Now, some people will read the music. They will learn to read the music. Some people will do sight reading. Some people will just play, will just learn. Some people will take longer than others. Some people will have obstacles in their way where they don't get to practice as much as other people. But ultimately, everyone can learn to do it. And it's the same with spirituality in terms of connecting with spirit and connecting with your angelic realm. It's not a gift of the few. Of course, it's a blessing, but it's not limited to people. Some people, as I say, pick it up, are more receptive, can just go to it and have a musical ear. But everyone can do it, everyone can learn, everyone can develop. The angels aren't sitting there going, well, I'm only going to come to you and you. It doesn't work like that. Everyone can tap into it, everybody can. That's
brilliant, because I think Archangel Michael, I'm not going to Shelley because she was rude about my handbag, I'm not going to her.
You're on the blacklist.
Find your own feathers. Bless you. I've absolutely loved speaking to you. Absolutely loved it.
Oh, it's been amazing.
And I think you're just like, even if people don't believe in angels, do believe in angels, I think there's a really valuable message that you're not alone, and just find something to believe in that resonates with you. I've absolutely loved it. So if people want to get in contact, we've got your website, angelicconnectionswithcamilla.com, and you're on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes. Definitely. Angelic Connections with Camilla. You can pretty much find me on most platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and on my website. If anyone wants to send me a message, that'd be lovely. But it's been such a pleasure. I've so enjoyed it so much. I really have. So easy to chat to. So thank you.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed today's episode, please ensure you subscribe and do leave a positive review. If you would like to create your own positive changes, head on over to shelleyfknight.com and you can buy yourself a copy of Positive Changes, a self-cookbook. If you want some positivity until the next show, come join us over on Facebook. That's Shelley F. Knight, Life Goes On. So I've been Shelley F. Knight, and as always, you've been amazing.